Hello, we are Group 7 and today we will present the case Leading Change in Talent at L'Oréal.
The organizational structure of the group is very hierarchical. The executive committee, composed of 15 top managers, directs and makes the major decisions. The group is organized into divisions and regional structures. There are 4 division chiefs and 4 zone managers who report directly to the CEO, and the activity is articulated around 4 main divisions, which are Consumer Product, the CPD, L'Oréal Luxe, the Professional Product, PPD, and the Active Cosmetics. All these activities managed by 4 main corporate functions: the DMI, the International Marketing Department, the Research and Innovation, the Operations, and the Human Resources. And we can also note that the culture of L'Oréal is very marketing driven. The brand image linked to diversity, quality, and innovation is very important to the firm's strategy. In order to effectively lead the change towards its talent management policy, the group will have to face both internal and external challenges. Internally, diversifying the composition of the top management in terms of gender, background, and culture will be essential to encourage talents from diverse backgrounds and to give them the hope of one day reaching the top. Improving the integration of new talents and leaders is also essential, as is the emergence and integration of non-bébé L'Oréal leaders and talents. Externally, the group will have to find ways to be more attractive to international talents from diverse backgrounds and cultures, which can only be a strength for the group. And finally, it will have to encourage the development of local leaders in foreign areas of operations. In order to meet these challenges in the best possible way, it's important to know what the group's strengths and weaknesses are. L'Oréal's strengths lie in its marketing strategy and the resulting operational and financial performance, but also in its organizational structure aimed at preserving the very essence of the group values, its great capacity to adapt, and its human resources philosophy. Nevertheless, there are a few areas for improvement to be taken into account, such as the reluctance to change, especially at the top management level, the difficulty for outsiders to enter and integrate into the group, and finally the overlying competitive culture that exists between employees and teams, which can often be detrimental to performance and efficiency in the workplace.
In this slide, we talk about the business case for change, which can be visualized into a dual viewpoint. First of all is business side analysis, in which L'Oréal did not have a very diversified product portfolio and they needed improvement in diversification. And in the human resources analysis, employees were not diversified at all, they were all French. The top level management mostly comprised all of men. Objectives and vision for change, there were inclusion or diversity. There were new flow plans laid out for the inclusion in gender equality, culture, race, new and more opportunities for the differently abled, and finally the inclusion of cultural minorities. Then they were changing the culture of top level leadership. Legrand wanted women to reach top level management consisting of men at that time and breaking the glass ceiling. Global integration program, a buddy or coaching system was laid out to familiarize the management with L'Oréal company culture and its business processes. Not to over-adapt the buddy and the coach system was put in by Pujo Valentin, who was a mentor in the buddy program. In persuasive communication of vision, Legrand's vision of diversity and inclusion was very well communicated at mid, senior and levels below it. Still, specifically, the execution of the vision at the top senior was unwelcomed. Lack of adequate support to women leaders to sustain their positions, mentorship and training to younger women employees to take up leadership roles, and the openness of top leaders. Regional leaders were able to come up with ideas, but top level acceptance was missing.
For stakeholders involved in the change in L'Oréal, we were able to identify 3 main groups. The key change stakeholders included, obviously, Jean-Claude Legrand, Pujo Valentin, and the diversity and inclusion team. These were main drivers because they were all with a mission to create awareness internally and externally inside the organization to fight issues against diversity. They also wanted to create an inclusive workplace globally. Legrand also identified a lack of diversity, motivation, and a significant amount of turnovers inside the company. He was driven by an engine of change on the diversity issue. His mindset was to create lasting change in the organization. Also, we have strong woman leadership, such as Isabella Minechi, who had initiative to conduct interviews to women who were leaving his high leadership roles, and she found out that it was because these women were having a first or a second child and the job was too demanding for them. Another key stakeholder was Joseph Saumel. He was the Executive Vice President of the Asian Pacific Zone of L'Oréal. He was an experienced BB L'Oréal employee with a vision of diversity and inclusion of his Asian talent into other markets. For other stakeholders, we have the Executive Committee, emerging market leaders, and our end customers who were directly affected by the issues of diversity inside the company.
Following Alejandro's analysis, now we will be going through 4 initiatives that L'Oréal used as vehicles to accomplish the human resources change objectives. The first action was a simplicity program. As Suleiman mentioned, there was a big notion of competitiveness in the company that made employees not always collaborate with each other. With this program, the idea was to turn the desire for competition into a collaborative climate. This would be accomplished by giving more empowerment in all levels of the company, encouraging team spirit by giving them team tasks, and giving incentives such as bonuses and promotions tied to specific collaboration objectives. Another vehicle used was the Global Integration Program. This initiative was conceived in order to improve the working environment and the adaptation process of the outsiders. The program consisted of providing support through a peer, a mentor, and an outside person. In this way, the adaptation and tuning of new employees would be more efficient. Continuing with other initiatives and vehicles applied by L'Oréal, we should mention the Global Diversity and Inclusion Project. The project launched an employability program to reduce the highly homogeneous profiles that the company had. This meant hiring people with multicultural origins, disabilities, and equalizing the gender gap. As a result of the program, the perception of inclusion of employees and stakeholders was improved significantly. Finally, the last initiative we want to present is the Global and Diversity Inclusion Team. This consisted on assigning a 7-person team to promote and coordinate with the whole company and stakeholders, activities, and a formal structure to work towards inclusion and diversity. This team had the task of organizing diversity workshops to help people respond non-defensively to learning about diversity.
According to McKinsey reports written in 2018 about diversity and inclusion, a diverse and inclusive corporation is more likely to outperform competitors among all verticals. And this is exactly what is happening to L'Oréal. L'Oréal is represented by over 158 countries as of now. And of course, a diverse company triggers creativity and innovation. And with it, revenues goes up and brand awareness goes up. To assess the achievements, we know that between 2017 and 2018, L'Oréal won the Equity Prize. They qualified first among over 3,000 companies for diversity and inclusion. They won the CEO Leadership Award by United Nations in 2018 for gender equality, and for the same reason, they made it in the top 100 by Bloomberg the same year. And with it, of course, also the revenue increased. Between 2013 and 2017, the revenue increased from $22 billion to $26 billion. And with it, also earnings per share, net profit, and operating profit increased, making shareholders happy and stakeholders happier. Our recommendations for L'Oréal moving forward are targeting 3 key areas, where you can find more in-depth info in the memo that is attached. The first step would be working for the Global Integration Program and expand the program for all hierarchical levels of the company to increase the productivity of new employees and make sure that you maximize the return on investment. The second one would be promoting interaction and form coaching teams between BB and non-BB to remove social barriers within the company and make sure that the integration of the employees is accelerated. And then include proposals for change from outsiders within the integration program. Make sure that these entrants are bringing new ideas inside the company. Evaluate them, make sure that the viable ones are chosen, and then trying to achieve a greater disruption in the integration of employees or eventually in other aspects related to the work environment. The second area would be improving the global D&I team restructuring, which is recommendation for the restructuring of these departments to change policies inside the company to involve the D&I team in the hiring and firing process of the human resources department. We believe that the D&I team must be involved in the decision making regarding the HR processes and bylaws, Organizing and planning for a diverse culture in the company is the first step to solving diversity issues. The third area would be communication. The last question mark for Legrand was how to attract new talents and build up momentum to keep on growing. In the beauty and cosmetic and fashion industry, one of the most recurring themes is the need for companies to walk the talk. They have to demonstrate to their customers that they support the gender equality and D&I causes. Our recommendation would be to use the beautiful role model also for marketing activities, removing gender biases in the communication. Nowadays, it's not only women buying cosmetics. Men are growing segment, and an effort is needed to demonstrate the openness of the company. We hope you enjoyed our presentation. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks a lot.